Adolf Hitler, a name that changed the course of the 20th century. But how did this man rise from obscurity to become the dictator of Nazi Germany? The story begins in the aftermath of World War I. In 1918, Germany was defeated and humiliated. The Treaty of Versailles imposed harsh punishments. Germany lost territory, was forced to disarm, and had to pay enormous reparations. The German economy collapsed. Inflation spiraled out of control, wiping out savings and destroying livelihoods. People queued for hours just to buy a loaf of bread. This period of pain and humiliation created a deep resentment among Germans, who felt betrayed by their leaders and abandoned by the world. Amid this chaos, a young Austrian named Adolf Hitler was trying to find his place. Born in 1889, Hitler was a failed art student who had served in the German army during World War I. Like many soldiers, he didn't accept the defeat and blamed Germany's problems on internal enemies: Jews, communists, and the so-called November criminals who had signed the peace treaty. In 1919, Hitler joined a small right-wing group called the German Workers' Party. His fiery speeches and powerful delivery quickly made him the star of the group, which later became the Nazi Party. Its platform combined extreme nationalism, hatred of Jews, anti-communism, and the promise to restore Germany to greatness. In 1923, Hitler tried to seize power by force in what became known as the Beer Hall Putsch. It failed, and he was arrested. During his brief time in prison, he wrote Mein Kampf, laying out his vision for Germany. He spoke of racial purity, German supremacy, and the need for a strong authoritarian state. Most dismissed him as a fanatic. But then came the Great Depression. In 1929, the global economy crashed. Germany, still burdened by debt and reparations, was hit hard. Unemployment soared. Hunger returned. The democratic government, known as the Weimar Republic, seemed helpless and weak. For many Germans, democracy had failed. And when people are desperate, they turn to extremes. The Nazi Party began gaining support rapidly. Hitler's promises of jobs, pride, and revenge resonated with the public. He skillfully used propaganda to spread his message, blaming Jews and communists for Germany's suffering. Between 1930 and 1932, the Nazi Party became the largest political force in Germany. Yet Hitler still lacked official power. That changed in January 1933, when conservative elites, believing they could control him, convinced President Paul von Hindenburg to appoint Hitler as chancellor. It was a decision that would prove disastrous. Within weeks of taking office, the Reichstag, Germany's parliament, went up in flames. Hitler blamed the communists and used the fire as a pretext to pass the Reichstag fire decree, stripping citizens of basic rights and allowing arrests without trial. Political enemies were silenced. Civil liberties vanished. Then, in March 1933, Hitler pushed through the Enabling Act, giving him the power to pass laws without the Reichstag. He now had legal dictatorial powers. In just 2 months, democracy was dead. The Nazis quickly consolidated control. Trade unions were crushed. Newspapers were censored. Opposing parties were banned. Hitler's enemies, both real and imagined, were hunted down. But he wasn't done. In 1934, he ordered the execution of his own rivals within the Nazi Party during what became known as the Night of the Long Knives. This brutal purge removed any remaining threat to his leadership. Later that year, President Hindenburg died. Hitler merged the roles of Chancellor and President, declaring himself Führer, the supreme leader of Germany. By the end of 1934, Hitler had transformed Germany into a one-party totalitarian state. His rise had been built not just on speeches and promises, but on fear, propaganda, and violence. The world, still recovering from the Great Depression, largely looked the other way. Many hoped Hitler would bring stability. Few imagined that within a decade, his actions would lead to a global war and the death of millions. The rise of Hitler wasn't inevitable. It was the result of broken systems, economic collapse, and a society desperate for change. It is a powerful reminder of how democracy can be dismantled not just with force, but with fear, lies, and silence. This is the History Room. If you found this story important, subscribe and stay with us as we uncover the past, one chapter at a time.